Whew. Good thing Dominique Cross got her codes rearranged in Capsule Corp. Otherwise, she would have gone haywire for sure. Welcome back to another chapter of the Yakuza Saga. Last time, the ladies found themselves captured in Mikado after they had dealt with the brainwashed bouncers, who was actually, along with the Yakuza, being run by Doragon. Yeesh. They assume that he's been wished back by the Dragon Balls, but they're not quite certain yet. So, was he? Will Dominique actually be recaptured again? Will history repeat itself with the Neo-Yakuza? Well, let's find out, shall we? So we come to a unique situation in the story here, because much like the Mikado Saga, there's three different scenarios here. Because the ladies have been captured by Mikado, and they were able to get the help of a few Z fighters. So this story is going to be separated into three separate gaidens. And for this story, I'm going to start with the first group, consisting of Wong, Android 18, Dominique, and Krillin. So, these guys will go first. Alright, here we are. Chapter 4, Escape from Fate. This is like an oxymoron, as not only from the bar fate, but also escaping from fate itself. As history wouldn't repeat itself if Dominique should be abducted by the Mikado or Yakuza again. From here, this story will separate into three different gaidens, as the women have been captured and trapped in Mikado, and the first segment would be none other than the Valiant Quartet. Android 18 was in charge of cosmetics, utilizing Echidna's abandoned makeup bag, housing all the kinds, from mascara to lip gloss to hair dye, the works. She and Krillin were quite astonished in how Echidna managed to keep so many tools in such a cramped, compacted space, and Dominique assisted as the Z fighters put her and Wong under guises. 18 worked on her disciple first and foremost, while Krillin made some clumsy, confounded attempts to find whatever was needed to make a disguise for Wong. The bar itself was littered with debris from the Yakuza fight, so it was no doubt a chore to collect her bearings. There were cult trunks making a past remark that Wong had a similar appearance to one single mad scientist in charge of the Red Ribbon Army. And after gazing over the ancient martial artist, 18 definitely had the right idea. She had to bite her tongue during the process as she decided to make Wong look similar to Dr. Giraud, and a nearby pan was used, after she broke off the handle, to be displayed as an artificial brain. 18's main objective, however, was to have Dominique's hair dyed and applied with more heavier makeup, almost looking like a goth. Though she was constantly distracted by brainstorming on how Wong should look while still watching her husband like a hawk, even when it came to something that'll conceal his newly standoffish attachment implanted on his head. If we do happen to evacuate from here, we're still going to be at the mercy of the Yakuza. They may have the ability to detect our own key. That's why we should always have our key very low. Though it's obvious they'll be undetected, they'd still be vulnerable if there happens to be an ambush. The crime organization was reckless and merciless. Wong knew even after all these past decades. They still remained the same though, but if Sion was involved in the hunt, as if reading his troubled mind, "Don't worry, Master Wong. We'll protect you guys. My wife and I will take the front, right, 18? Of course. Finito! Her hair is more sleek, jet black, remained very shiny under the fluorescent lights. She had darker shades of lipstick, eyebrows, lashes, eyelids. Her cheeks were more rosier. She was wearing high heels. Her outfit was replaced by Krillin's. No matter, since the monk himself was wearing his usual attire of an orange jumpsuit with a navy blue undershirt. It's about time he wore that outfit. As for Wong, 18 managed to find a tall black cap that was able to keep his artificial brain in place, and his wardrobe was very similar to Jiro's, but without the red ribbon logos. She was quite lucky that she and Krillin had got a dino cap as a portable set of drawers if 18 wanted to switch clothes in a jiff. Cyber became a bit more agitated, wanting to remove the disgusting displays as soon as they got to Denkis Lookout. Dominique asked, "Where is it? What is Denkis Lookout?" Krillin filled them in. It was a place that watches over Earth at the heavenly realm, basically just above the stratosphere, reassuring they'd be safe from Dorgon and his new Mikado group. They'd be protected by its own guardian Dende, and it was done several times in the past while the heroes took refuge, with the exception of Evil Blue as well as Garlic Jr. and his malevolent Spice Boys twice over. All we needed to do is tread out of Edge, casually as far away as we can, to avoid the Yakuza's hungry eyes. By the time they'd reach the checkpoint, they'd be safe and use Key Flight to head there, go through Cairn Forest, where the Karinga tribe lived. It was the basis of Korin's Tower. Both Dominique and Wong were still perplexed. "I'll explain along the way. Are you ready, 18? Are you two up for it? Let's go." Krillin and 18 led Wong and Dominique onto the cold, silent streets, hoping they'd reach their destination in one piece. During the makeovers, Krillin had a talk with Gohan soon after Ayame broke the news. He said he'll head to Edge immediately and keep an eye over the Fate Bar and the Yakuza's Dark Key, while Goten and Trunks decide to go to Wong's place. Gohan told Krillin to alert 18 that while there, she should ask Dende if the Dragon Balls were used recently, from last night. The quartet noticed that whoever walked the streets were indeed Yakuza. There seemed to be no one else, as they all looked identical, with their shiny shades of hair, aging characteristics, etc. Still, despite their growing fears, Krillin, Wong, and 18 remained cool as cucumbers, while the bodies covered around Dominique's new appearance. Even she wasn't very confident as to whether or not the Yakuza would notice. Some were probably involved in the last captor plot, Wong believed. As they responded casually to each passerby, the elderly fighter recalled a similar event when he helped Dominique escape from Mikado underneath her brother's nose, which Dominique mentioned in the Mikado Saga. They went through many alleyways in the central square. Krillin kept assuring them they'd be out of Edge shortly. By the time they reached toward the MSD cargo train station, the gangsters in security uniforms looked at the suspicious foursome as if they somehow knew they didn't seem to appear cohesively with each other. One of them, who was bony and skinny, wearing a bright tee and all that, mentioned his cohorts over. They marched up to the group, and one of the Yakuza just got into Krillin's vision. "Hey, excuse me, mister. Forgive me. We're in a hurry, so if you could just let us..." The silent gangster continued to obstruct their path when they were trying to walk around. He was actually inspecting each of the group, including the women. "Ah! Hey, back off, Yakuza! You should know better than to lay your hands on a lady. I know you guys are responsible for robbery, assault, murder, and most disturbingly, child trafficking, and reducing them and women to sex slaves. You monkeys are all completely unforgivable, especially to those whom you manipulate from the Philippines and Korea. 18! Enough!" Wong stopped her tirade. The man withdrew his hand with a snarl. Then he and his cohorts advanced, and everyone but Dominique was prepared. "Dominique, brace yourself!" "Typical Yakuza! Come on, we'll show them, even though we may drop dead." Krillin is always so damn paranoid. They fought off a few more members of the Yakuza. Krillin and 18 took the front, since although their other two had decent offense, their defense was very low. Wong was greatly injured during the fight, and Dominique was unable to treat his wounds. Instead, it was only Krillin and 18 with her aggressiveness, as well as the monk's own signature move, Destructo Disc! As soon as he raised his arm, a large, rapidly spinning circular disc made of energy was conjured. He threw it, and his ki honed in on his enemies. knocking them off their feet and leaving their bodies broken and gravely hurt, almost immobilized. Then it exploded into the ceiling, causing some of the steel rods to collapse onto the Yakuza. Sion! Apparently the clangs were so noisy that more of the Yakuza headed straight for them. Upon Dominique's whisper, they noticed him amongst more Yakuza with a sneer. Without hesitation, Krillin shouted, "Shield your eyes!" They obliged before he unleashed a solar flare! With three fingers against his eyes, he activated it. By the time the area cleared a few minutes later, Krillin and 18 also took flight toward a distant location carrying Wong and Dominique respectively. The Dragon team went over a lush, fertile land. It was occupied by many teepees in all sizes, and the inhabitants looked like ants by comparison. Krillin described this plain as the sacred land of Korin, or Karen Forest in other words. The distinctive indigenous people Wong became fascinated. Just then they also saw two aborigines. A grown boy and his father looked up toward Krillin and 18. They waved and smiled back. These guys are the proud chief Bora and his son Upa. They are the guardians of the base of Korin's tower. You know, Goku used to help protect them in their village while he was still just a child. And that was when he encountered the Red Ribbon Army's most lethal warriors, Mercenary Tao and Captain Yellow. Android 18 still cringed while he mentioned the accursed organization. Hang tight, guys. Yeah. Hang tight, guys. We'll be there in a jiffy. All we gotta do is climb up this tower, and we should be there. What? They were disgusted. They already seen how extremely high that tower was. It was really a long spear poking through the clouds and still growing. Hey! Don't mind him. We'll take you two up. There is Wong's wounded body should put their minds at ease when she said that Korin and Dende can fix things up. If there aren't any senzu beans, we can at least rely on Dende to help us recover. We're almost home free. Carefully detecting the distant dark key, which was miles and miles away, 18 and Krillin ascended quickly through the thin cloud carpet. Quickly through. Damn errors. At a massive UFO-shaped settlement that was on top of the skinny, excruciating long tower. They landed on the side deck and went inside. And I'm not into Star Wars, by the way. I know the reference. A wise cat holding his staff was waiting for them. Krillin was still carrying Wong over his unfortunate shoulders. Oh, hello there. Welcome to my home turf. I assumed you guys made it up my tricky tower. Now's not the time, Korin. Wong is greatly injured during a fight against the Yakuza. He's frail, and we don't know how long he can hold up. Do you have any senzu beans? Alas, I do not. His eyes lit up as his whiskers twitched. But I'm sure our guardian Dende would be of use to you. Ever since the Yakuza multiplied exponentially, darkness became supreme. It ain't easy to harvest and grow these beans without a lot of light energy. Thanks, Korin. She led them up a lift after they saw a disgusting sight as Yajirobe was stuffing himself like a pig with multiple greasy mammoth ribs. Dominique was indeed the first to have her stomach flip. 18 escorted the group without hesitation, and the lift ascended toward their destination. Dende and his assistant, Mr. Popo, stood watch while the quartet finally emerged. Welcome, Dominique and Wong. Welcome to my sanctuary. Gazed and congratulated Krillin and 18 for bringing them here safely. It was a wise decision to relocate them to my lookout. I can assure you both that no enemies of yours can ever find you. You may take refuge here. At first it was a stunning sight to meet a full-fledged alien life form. He almost looked like a Martian with green skin, feelers. Dominique actually played around his feelers. I wish no harm to my guests, and while I heal Master Wong's wounds, my dear friend can show you around. He nodded toward his best friend and servant. It was also bizarre to meet a large living, breathing genie with all of that. Am, am I dreaming all this? No, you are not, my dear. I also happen to tend the grounds as well as a beautiful flower garden if you are interested. You have your own flowers here? Oh, this is so amazing! She really did appreciate the large variety of plants as well as the butterflies. Both she and Wong were very astounded it was so peaceful and tranquil up here, and not a sub-zero freezing like they anticipated. On the contrary, it's always balmy here all year round. We never freeze up here, even in the dead of winter. Dende seems to be... Plump joyful assistant marched over toward Wong, who seemed to be fully healed. Dende seems to be the first ever guardian who can recuperate those who are gravely injured. He has such astonishing feats. And couldn't agree more. I'm so glad you're okay. Indeed I am, Dominique. So you said you are the Earth's own guardian? Dende described the lookout was once part of the sacred landscape Krillin and 18 showed them. It was believed that the giant floating platform orbits over the Earth, and its guardian Mr. Popo can sense everything happening over the planet, even lethal battles as they look over the sides. He told them the story that Kami, the first god of Earth, was the Lookout's official guardian as the creator of the Earth's own Dragon Balls, before the Super-Namek Piccolo merged with him, when Cell 18 and the destructive Brother 17 wreaked havoc. 18 sulked a little, recalling the incidents, before she fell in love with Krillin. Soon after, Dende grew up and soon became the current protector of Earth. The peaceful atrium was connected by Corin's tower, and below wasn't really an actual tower, but rather a sacred tree that grows every decade and has been doing so for many millennia. Above that was Corin's tower and soon the lookout. Also, it should be noted that Goku's, now Ayame's, extending power pole could fit into the hole just beneath the Hermit's turf, which connects and serves as a vital link between them. I may be this planet's guardian, but Goku and his dear friends are the true heroes. Even Ayame, Echidna, and Leanne. If only they'd be successful. May luck be with us. That gave Krillin an epiphany. Oh, hey Dende, can you do us a favor and see if the Dragon Balls have been used since the night before? Of course. It'll only take a few minutes. I shall return. Staff kept his spine upright and treaded toward one of the distant forts. And there was the miniature stained glass statue of Shenron. New Guardian looked at the statue of the eternal dragon that was turned into a duller material, which meant the Dragon Balls had been used, then petrified since last night. It was around the time when the model glowed and the balls were active. Then broke the news in a disheartened manner in the bewildered quartet. Your fears have been justified. The Dragon Balls have been used since the night before. 2 wishes were made of resurrecting the deceased members of the Yakuza, as well as Dorgan. I begin to fear for the worst of the welfare of Ayame, as well as Sion's. Namekian felt the dark key from below. It was ever increasing rapidly from the brainwashed bouncers and Dorgan's strength. It has been enhanced compared to the last time. I only hope we are not too late. Sion, Volt, Ko! It was like 1,000 gut punches. She leaned into Wong for comfort. Meanwhile, a strange-looking earthling was the size of a midget suddenly opened his eyes very wide. And there's the description here. He was at a very young age. He just received a jolt through his skull like an electric current. He rose from his lotus position on a grassy mound overlooking some distant frosty peaks. He was more ready than to take on the fight to this new threat. The world was highly at stake and he had a mission to accomplish. I know this has been a bit formulaic, but the scenario in which Krillin and 18 snuck through Edge and escaped to the lookout may be similar to Ko's stealth mission in the Yakuza Mikado Saga. So Wong and Dominique finally escaped safely and met up with Earth's guardian Dende, as well as assistant Mr. Popo. It was kind of nice the Lookout has been featured twice in the tetralogy, with the previous time in the Mikado Saga, even though ironically Dende noticed they were used recently to resurrect Zoragon instead of him being presumed as a mindless clone. And who is this mysterious young fighter? You'll find out soon enough, but it's kind of obvious to any Dragon Ball veteran. So the next chapter would revolve around the Saiyans as they observe some Yakuza activity, while also monitor over the common locations. See you all then. Until then, this is the Ekron Writer signing out. Good luck, Sea Fighters. Alright, just hold on for a second. Yeah, here we go.